Today, I'm going to break down mashed potatoes so you have the best recipe for all of your holiday entertaining needs. Before we cook anything, I want to talk about one tool that I feel is essential to good mashed potatoes. So this is a potato ricer, and I'm like not huge on kitchen gadgets, but if there's one single-use tool out there that you need, it's this, in my opinion. I don't even own a potato masher. This is the key to fluffy mashed potatoes. Also, like, you could press citrus in this, you could squeeze excess moisture out of greens, like you could get creative, it's not just single use. The next thing I think we should talk about is the type of potato. So these are Yukon Gold potatoes. They're a little bit different than your classic Idaho russet, but I prefer them in a mashed. I think that they can take on fat a little bit better and they have a light and fluffy texture. Also, the best part about Yukon Golds and a ricer is that you don't have to peel them. So that annoying job that no one wants to do, we're just eliminating. The ricer is gonna leave all that skin behind and save you a bunch of time. The only thing we need to do to these is we're going to quarter them. You wanna have even sized pieces so that they all cook at an even rate. Okay, our potatoes are prepped, so I'm gonna drop them into a large stock pot.
Are you a juggler also?
I'm gonna cover these potatoes with cold water by about 2 inches. So the reason that you wanna use cold water whenever you're cooking potatoes is it helps them to cook evenly. If you use hot water, the outside of the potato will cook first and sort of flake off while the inner part is still really firm. Okay, so salt is essential when you're cooking potatoes. If you don't add it while they're cooking, you're never really gonna get that flavor in. You're just gonna make it taste salty rather than taste delicious. So I'm going heavy. Potatoes are inherently starch, all starch, so they can take a lot of salt. And we are going to bring these up to a boil. Once they reach a rolling boil, I'm gonna turn it down a little bit to a gentle boil and let it cook for about 16 to 18 minutes. When I make them at home on gas, it's about 16 minutes. Here on induction, it'll probably be about 18 minutes. So while our potatoes cook, we are going to infuse some butter and heavy cream with shallot and sage. And we're gonna be whipping this mixture into our potatoes once we rice them. So you don't want this to come to a boil, you just want a really, really gentle simmer. You want the cream to warm up and the butter to melt. So we're just draining our potatoes, they're nice and tender. And I'm actually going to add them right back to the same pot over medium heat for about 30 seconds to a minute. I just want to steam off any residual moisture. Okay, so we are ready to rice our potatoes. So you're gonna fill this about halfway with your cooked potatoes, and then you're gonna feel like a child playing with Play-Doh, and it's gonna be so fun. Get a little bit of an arm workout before you eat your weight in potatoes. Laura, I wanna show you in here. See all that potato skin? Yeah, no need to peel them. So the one thing though, like as you're working, you might wanna just reach in and take the skin out, just so it's not clogging up the works. So I've riced all our potatoes. I have our cream and butter mixture here. I'm just gonna strain it into our potatoes. Whip these up with a whisk. Really incorporate all of that richness from the butter and the cream. And you can see this texture is like unbelievable. Potato clouds. So the one thing about mashed potatoes is you don't ever want to overwork them because they can go gummy, which is not pleasant. So you just want to mix until it's all well blended. We have a lot going on with these potatoes, but they're not quite finished. We have the starchiness from the Yukon Gold, we have richness from cream and butter. Now we need a little bit of acidity, which I'm going to add in the form of sour cream. So I'm gonna start with about half a cup. And just blend this together. This is really gonna make everything really balanced and bring all the flavors together. Oh my God. You need to have some, Laura. So these are like pretty perfect. I think they need a little bit of salt. So I'm just gonna season them a tiny bit. And now let's get started on our gravy. I'm gonna show you how to make a really simple pan gravy that is a universal ratio. So whether you're making a roast chicken, a roast turkey, if you're doing like a roast beef during the holidays, this is a ratio, a method. You can use it to make any kind of gravy you need. So I have just some pan drippings here from some chicken we roasted off this morning, and that's gonna be the base of our sauce. Well, actually, like, I feel like gravy is very stressful for people. So we're in flannel, it's the holidays, take a breath, it's no big deal. You got it, it's easy, okay? So the first thing we're gonna do is add some butter to, I like to use like a heavy bottom saute pan. So we're gonna let this butter melt. Butter's melted, we are going in with a little bit of flour. And we're just going to start to build a golden blonde roux. So we're gonna whisk. We don't want any lumps, no lumps in this gravy. And this is gonna cook, stirring fairly constantly for, I would say 3 to 4 minutes, but you're gonna keep an eye on it. You're going to bring it to like a golden brown, as I said, and you're gonna smell a really nutty, delicious aroma. So I have our pan drippings here. It's about a cup, and you can see there's a little bit of fat. And most recipes would say, oh, strain off the fat, da da da. Like, I don't have time for that, okay? It's gonna be fine. So whisk pretty vigorously, and you're just going to emulsify all of that goodness into your roux. This is looking great. So now I just have a little bit of chicken stock, which I'm going to slowly incorporate. Again, this is a ratio, so if you're doing a beef dish, you could use beef stock. If you're doing turkey for Thanksgiving, you can use turkey stock. It's really just a technique. Okay. So I used about 3 cups of stock here because I prefer a thinner gravy, but if you like it thicker, you could use 2. You could kind of split the difference and use 2.5. It's totally up to your judgment. And now this is just going to hang out and simmer for about 7 to 8 minutes. It's gonna thicken up. That raw flour is gonna cook out, and we're going to have a luscious, delicious, flavorful gravy. We just wanna give it a chance to thicken up. Okay, so you can see our gravy has thickened up nicely. You'll notice I didn't season it during this process. Gravy is the kind of thing that when you're using pan drippings as a base of a sauce, it's kind of hard to control the seasoning level. Like if you have a very salty brine, you're gonna have very salty drippings. So the only way that you can kind of tell what's going on is to give it a taste. So let's see what's happening. It's very good. It needs a tiny bit of salt and a little bit of black pepper. If you end up with super salty pan drippings and then you taste your gravy and it's so salty you think you can't serve it, if you add a little bit of acid like lemon juice, it's gonna balance out all those flavors and save your gravy. But this doesn't need it. I think we're good to go. So let's plate these up. A little more butter because it's never a bad idea. Ready to go. All right, let's try these with the gravy. So good. It makes me so ready for Thanksgiving. I hope you all make this recipe. You're gonna be mashed potato pros in no time, gravy masters in no